I've got something way more fun in mind.
Hello, my fellow enthusiasts. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about ghosts, but not just any ghosts. We're going to be talking about the best ghosts, the ones who are important, because I'm not going to be talking about the butt ghost. You know, the one whose entire purpose in his unlife is just picking up balls with his buttocks? Yeah, we're not talking about him. We're going to be talking exclusively about the important ones within the lore, because there are over 40 ghosts within the lore, but only a small sector of them are actually important. And if I actually took the time to talk about every single ghost within the land of Vu, well, we would be here all day, and I wouldn't be able to even get this video out. It would take way too long. But within those brackets, we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about ghosts in terms of species, we're going to talk about each of the individual ghosts who are important to the lore, and we're going to talk about all the lore that you missed within Adventure Time. Well, regarding these guys, and somehow this video will probably still be less than 10 minutes long. So all that being said, let us begin. Starting off simple, we first need to understand what exactly a ghost is. So within the land of Vu, a ghost is, well, a dead individual. But here's the thing, when it comes down to ghosts and their abilities, as well as what tethers them to the mortal world, it varies by case to case. This is due to the fact that most ghosts end up being tied to the mortal plane due to various reasons. Some because they lose complete memory of how they died, resulting in them being unable to pass. Some have unfinished business, which until it is settled, they can never pass on and will continue to haunt the material world for all time. Due to the fact that basically every single one is tethered for different reasons, there's no one way to properly deal with ghosts, and they all have unique abilities as well as different appearances. However, despite being undead, the vast majority of ghosts aren't entirely problems. Even though they will haunt you, they will most likely leave you alone under most circumstances. At least when it comes to actually harming you physically. However, obviously this isn't always the case. As I said before, ghosts are incredibly varied, and each one can have a different attitude towards the living. There have been cases of ghosts being incredibly malevolent and actively attempting to kill the living whenever the opportunity arose. Due to the fact that they are already undead, as well as completely incorporeal under most circumstances, they are also completely immune to pretty much every single kind of weapon, with the exception, of course, of enchanted weapons, as magic is one of the few ways you can actually harm them under most circumstances. However, depending on the type of ghost that you're fighting, it's quite possible that you'll still be able to touch them, you just won't be able to damage them depending on the weapon that you're utilizing. Such as your fist, it's just not going to really do anything. Lastly, one thing that's actually rather interesting is that ghosts are actually higher on the tier list than vampires, with it flat out being stated that vampires can never defeat ghosts. With Marceline in particular, flat out saying that it's like a rock, paper, scissors thing. However, this implies that there's another creature that actually outranks ghosts, but we're not entirely sure what it is, as we are never told. With all of that out of the way, we can finally start talking about specific ghosts, which, luckily enough for us, the Enchiridion actually gives us not only a catalog of each of the individual ghosts, but they actually give us a rating system in terms of how dangerous they actually are, with annoying being harmless, eerie being slightly scary, goosebumps being potentially dangerous, blood-curdling being deadly, and game over meaning certain death for most adventurers. So, going in the order that they provide, let's go ahead and start with one of my personal favorites, which is the Gladiator Ghosts. Ranked with a danger level of blood-curdling, they are the ghosts that can be found within the Fight King's arena. Every single Gladiator Ghost that exists is from another gladiator who was slain by a previous one, which is actually what makes them so terrifying. Every single individual slain by a Gladiator Ghost becomes a Gladiator Ghost completely under the control of the Fight King. One of the major reasons why they're so dangerous is due to the fact that every single Gladiator Ghost was at one point a gladiator, which means they're all versed in combat. Not only that, but every single one of them seems to actually continuously be in a very torturous existence, mainly due to the fact that every single Gladiator Ghost you see has killed their best friends. So I did a video on the Fight King before, which link down in the description if you want to watch that, but let me go ahead and summarize what happens here. If more than one individual shows up to the Fight King's Coliseum, the first thing that he does is force them to fight the Gladiator Ghosts. Afterwards, assuming they actually manage to defeat all of the ghosts, they then are forced to fight each other for their freedom. The only problem is that this is 100% a lie. The Fight King will refuse to give them any measure of freedom, and they are ultimately forced to die within the Coliseum, either being killed by the Gladiator Ghost later or just dying due to dehydration or starvation. One thing that should be mentioned is that I'm pretty sure they are in fact killed by the Gladiator Ghost, as every single ghost who actually is continuously apologizing to the friend they killed has grievous wounds, showing that most likely they were massacred shortly after the fight or succumbed to the wound they had gained during the fight. Now luckily there is a happy ending here, as after the destruction of the Fight King, the Coliseum was destroyed and all of them were set free. Additionally, let me go ahead and just add this here because I'm sure someone's going to bring it up. No, they cannot be killed by regular weapons, even though they can be fought with regular weapons. If they couldn't be fought with regular weapons, then the Fight King wouldn't exactly have that much fun when watching the newcomers fight them every single time, now would he? Moving on to the next ghost, we have Clarence and Ghost Princess, both of which are ranked at a danger level of goosebumps. goosebumps. In their previous lives, Ghost Princess and Clarence, with Ghost Princess actually going by Warrior Princess at the time, were two enemy leaders to two different kingdoms. But through some Romeo and Juliet shenanigans, the two ended up falling in love. However, this doesn't exactly go well considering your two kingdoms absolutely hate each other and are continuously trying to push you to flat out go to war with the other. And eventually the two would end up going to war with the other, and ultimately Clarence would kill Warrior Princess, resulting in Ghost Princess's birth. What a lot of people don't know actually, as it's not actually stated within the episode, is that this isn't how it was supposed to go. In the Enchiridion, we were actually told that Clarence actually had a plan in order to avoid this entire scenario. Prior to the battle, Clarence had actually gone out of his way to enchant Ghost Princess's, at the time Warrior Princess's, armor in order to basically give it a spell of invincibility, which would have made her quite literally unkillable during the fight. The idea was that assuming that she would best him in combat as well as his kingdom, it would actively shut up pretty much everyone within his kingdom in terms of further ideas of war, allowing the two to continue their activities without the need of further bloodshed. The only problem with the plan was the fact that he did not tell Warrior Princess the plan in the first place. We're unsure whether or not he did this intentionally as to avoid anyone finding out, or if he just didn't have the time, but regardless, the ultimate result is the same. She ended up switching her armor at the very last minute right before the battle, and due to the fact that he thought that she would be invincible, he went for the killing blow, which, due to the fact that she wasn't invincible, it killed her pretty much instantaneously. This is why he was significantly more broken in life, simply due to the fact that he did something that he had no intention of actually doing. And in his depression, he would eventually just go to a cheesy mart and consume so much cheese that he would explode, and that is how he dies. As luck would have it, both of them would forget how they originally died, resulting in neither of them being able to ascend to the 50th Dead World. Now, just like the Gladiator Ghosts, luckily this does have a happy ending, as due to the help of Finn and Jake, the two would eventually find out how they died and would both ascend in a lovely romantic relationship to the 50th Dead World, and we even see them within distant lands. Man, it's such a fun thing. But moving on from my sentimentality, let's go ahead and go to the next ghost on our list, which is Shoko, which is also known as Finn's previous incarnation. Shoko was born halfway through the 1,000 years that the mushroom bomb had detonated. As such, unlike Finn, she is actually a mutant with green skin and slit eyes. She additionally lost an arm due to the fact that her parents had given it up for a new computer, and funnily enough, her best friend, the tiger, is actually Jake's previous incarnation. Now, in order to survive this incredibly hostile environment, she had done jobs for various gangs for various benefits and rewards. However, she was eventually given somewhat of a suicide mission, as she had to steal an amulet directly from Princess Bubblegum, one of the most guarded individuals within the world, but on top of that, if she had failed, she would have been killed by the gang who had given her the job in the first place. In order to accomplish her goal, she would sneak within the Candy Kingdom, which at the time was in mid-construction, which was continuously being attacked by other gangs. Shoko would take the guise of a damsel in distress in order to get on Princess Bubblegum's good side. However, after being shown genuine kindness, she began to question herself, and began to see Princess Bubblegum as a genuine friend. However, the problem with this was that she was flat out threatened with death if she didn't complete the mission, and so decided to do it despite her conscience. This would not go well, as during her attempt to steal the amulet, she would be blown off of the building by a gumball guardian and thrown into a pool of incredibly corrosive mutagenic ooze. Her time in the ooze left her with absolutely no chance of survival, as her body was pretty much rapidly mutated in such a way that was pretty much lethal. Her legs would be melted and then re-merge back together, and cancerous growths would basically grow throughout her entire body, leaving gigantic tumors and lumps. Her skin would become a slimy and quite possibly continuously melting mass. These rapid and painful mutations would ultimately cause her death after she managed to drag herself a couple miles south, directly at the sapling that would eventually become the treehouse. After becoming a ghost, she would continuously haunt Finn in order to finally get him to give back the amulet, and just like every other ending, she would have a happy one as well, with Finn giving the amulet back to Princess Bubblegum hundreds of years later. As a ghost, she was also given the rank of Goosebumps in terms of her danger level. Last but not least, we actually have a trio, which is technically a quartet, as there are 4 of them, which is Georgy, Booboo, and Wendy. And here's the thing, what's actually rather interesting is that they are labeled as the most dangerous ghosts within the Enchiridion, as well as just the most dangerous ghosts that we know of, with each of them possessing the danger rank of game over, with all of them already being known to have killed adventurers in the past. They are known to heavily enjoy pranks, but above all else, heavily enjoy fatal pranks, and when that doesn't go well, they in turn just decide to kill people whenever they get bored. They have little respect for the living, and genuinely just prefer to have as much fun as physically possible at everyone else's detriment. The only thing they like more is horror movies, and surprisingly, sitcoms, even though, as undead, they can't even enjoy the icy chill of watching sitcoms. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. Holy Jesus, this was a long one. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you have a nice day, a nice week, a nice year. And overall, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Thank you so much to my patrons, as always. And as always, even though I'm repeating myself, I will see you in the next video. Bye.
See? It's all in the technique. Now I'm gonna put a little finesse into it. Just